Shifa. Okay, let me introduce myself. First, I born in Kolkata, West Bengal, uh, which is a city and basically capital of West Bengal. There I born, and I born in a middle class family. So my parents both were working, both were in private sector. My father was in EMC and my mother was in Philips International. So they both were what I got a working parents. So and I grew up with my sister. So her name is Dona Shaha. So we both grew up together, and she was like 4 years elder than me, but we were like a more friends than sister. And then we had a full time 24/7 domestic help. So pretty much we three grew up together, our domestic help and me and my sister, because my mother was away like 7 o'clock in the morning. She will go to the office and she will come back around 6:30. So around 12 hours we won't see our mother. So and similar for my father also. So this is the ambience we grew up, but we had a lot of relatives like my father's brothers family and all. They were nearby. So we never felt that there is no parents, no guidance, no guardians around us. Very much protected family environment I grew up. Okay, but the locality where we were, that was a locality dominated by the people who migrated from Bangladesh. Actually, even my parents also, both my parents also migrated from Bangladesh in 1948, much before their marriage. They were very small, means my mother was like 1 or 2 years old and my father was like maybe 7 8 years old. That's And then at that time they both migrated from their respective families and they came. And then this is how our family, my parents family started. And then but my father, from the very beginning, even though he was a migrant from Bangladesh and all, but he was quite educated at that time itself. He had a mathematics, he had a mathematics honors. He was a graduate in mathematics. And that's why he was quite upright and science inclined person. So he loved science and he wanted us also to take our career in science. We both, even though we both were sisters, I mean, no, all are girl child for my father, no boy child. But I never saw my parents to regret on that. Not my mother, not my father, none of them. I've never heard. Maybe they have regretted, I do not know. But I have never heard them talking that we didn't get a boy child and all whatever. But they were very proud of us. So they have given us all the facilities what a middle class parents can give. Whatever I wanted to study, they have all the time provided. Then when I grew up, I just studied in a very ordinary Bengali medium school. That was my primary education, but very good school, reputed school, but it's a Bengali medium. And then I studied my that is a primary, then middle school, and then finally the high school. Everywhere I have studied in Bengali medium only, and I did all my schooling in under West Bengal secondary and higher secondary education board. So and then once I finish my 12th standard exam, and all the time I was getting good marks. And then even in mathematics and physics and chemistry, all the science stream I used to get very good marks. So my father thought I would go definitely towards science, not towards arts. So my mother was in arts and my father was in science. So there was a little bit tussle between both of them. But my sister opted to go for philosophy and arts domain, and I was inclined towards science domain. So my father always used to encourage me. See, every girls will get married and then they will start cooking, they will start doing all the household works. I don't want you to do any of them unless you finish your study. I want you to take the highest degree. This is my father's quote all the time. Today he is not alive, but this was his quote. All the time he used to tell me and motivate me and inspire me, saying that get the highest degree. Don't think of earning money. Don't think of getting married. Don't think of going to the kitchen and start working. I don't want you to do that. I want you to focus on your education, get the highest degree as much as you can. So this was the ambience I grew up. I'm very fortunate to have the father what I had. I mean, that is, I'm very fortunate to have this kind of inspiring parents. Generally what happens, even my friends who are I surrounded, means my surrounding friends, their parents used to think that my daughter is now like 20 years, 18 years. Now I have to look for alliances. I have to get her married. So this kind of questions never crossed my parents' mind. That is something I'm very very fortunate. And that's why my father used to tell me, do not even think of, no, you will have to get married at the right time. First, get the highest degree. And then that's how I finished my 12th standard. Then I went for the graduation. There I opted chemistry. So here there was a little tweak in my career, because my father was a mathematician and he loved physics and mathematics. He never loved chemistry. So he used to say that no, chemistry is a subject which I cannot really cope up so well. So he used to teach me physics and mathematics, not chemistry so much, because he was also afraid of that. So that too, that gave me a lot of challenges, or means I would say a lot of encouragement, that why wouldn't I think of taking this challenge where my father didn't really enjoy. Okay, so why couldn't I take that challenge? So let me see what is big deal in the chemistry. Let me see. So that's how my inclination gone towards chemistry. And during 12th standard, that means that 11th and 12th standard, that those 2 years, I have started loving chemistry because of my teacher. That teacher was my father's friend. His name is Pradeep Sir. We used to call him Pradeep Sir, and he's very proud of our achievement because many of his students finally opted chemistry as a career. And so I was one of them, and then I took up the chemistry. I got the interest in chemistry from him. He started saying that, water, he started teaching us first with water chemistry. So water in Bengali they call joler moto soja, means everything is so easy as water. But he used to say water chemistry is not as easy as water. That's how he actually started inspiring us, that see what is there in water chemistry. That's how I started learning what is there in water chemistry, why it is not so. Means I always have that tendency, if something cannot be done by somebody else or something seems challenging, can I take it up? Let's see, can I do something about it? Most of the time I'll fail only, but I have a habit of taking it up. Let's see what happens, I might fail. So this is how I started, means inclining towards chemistry. Then in graduation, I opted chemistry only, and I told my father, "Look, this is my interest. I don't like physics, mathematics as much as I like chemistry. So let me be myself." My father said, "Okay, well done, no problem. You just follow your heart. If you like chemistry, I'm sure you will shine on that. Don't follow my heart. If you like chemistry, you go towards that." And that's how I came to chemistry. After my graduation, I realized that in the chemistry there are many fields. So physical chemistry, organic chemistry, inorganic chemistry, polymer chemistry. So I thought, why can't I opt polymer science? Because polymer science sounded very fascinating, thinking that there will be a big industry, plastics and rubber. They are growing up in Kolkata also. There are many industries based on these plastics and rubbers at that time. So I thought, why can't I go towards polymer science? Why there is a lot of opportunities. Our teachers, means college teacher, used to tell us polymers have a lot of opportunities. Why don't you, if you get a chance, switch towards, instead of staying onto the direct chemistry or like a physical, inorganic, organic, direct lines, direct track, you can go to the chord line of chemistry. You will have to have a basic knowledge of chemistry, otherwise you cannot shine in polymer science. So why don't you go there? So I went to that polymer science department in Calcutta University, and there I studied BTech in polymer science. And from there I went to IIT Kharagpur. I studied MTech in rubber technology. That is also polymer technology only. So then there I got exposed to what polymer science is, how chemistry can be utilized to make polymer molecules. Well, chemistry generally talks about small molecules. Polymers is like, it's like this garland, one single garland, one single moti is one single pearl. It's just a single molecule. If you put all the pearls together and you get this garland, then it's a polymer molecule. That's the difference. So this polymer science fascinated me. How can I do something with this garland? Let's see, can I do something? So let me first learn that area, that subject. Then I went to polymer science, BTech, MTech, IT Kharagpur. Then after MTech, then what I thought, now I gained enough knowledge in polymer. Why don't I? Why don't I give it a try for PhD? To get a PhD degree in polymer science. And my father all the time supported me, saying that you get the highest degree, don't worry about marriage. I wanted to go to abroad and get my PhD. I didn't want to do it in India. So my father said, no worry, I'll support you. You go to abroad and you give GRE TOEFL. That time we used to give GRE TOEFL exam. To crack GRE and TOEFL, you can go to abroad and to get a decent university. And I got a fellowship also. So there was not much support needed from my parents, but moral support, mental support, of course, it was needed. So my father supported me to go to the go to abroad in Michigan State. I went there. There I have finished my PhD in polymer chemistry under Professor Greg Baker. So there I have learned, how to use the polymer and solve a real problem. So there actually before abroad, I mean before Michigan, I was just studying what is polymer, what is it, what fascination is there. Now when I went to abroad, there I have realized how nicely you can make use of polymers for our day to day life, real life. So that's how I went to Michigan to do finish my PhD. So after my PhD, I went to University of Michigan at Ann Arbor. That's a very top school in United States. There I have learned how to make these drug delivery vehicles, which I am working on right now, using polymeric molecules. Biodegradable polymeric molecules. They can be used to make drugs. That I just got exposed to when I went for my PhD and postdocs. So after my postdoc, I got a learning on this area. Then I went to Singapore, and then I joined a company. It's a very big corporate company, BASF. That's a number one chemical company. So I took up a job there as a research scientist, and then I worked there for a while. But then I have realized, see, my I wanted to do polymer research, of course, but not in corporate environment. That's what my mind was not aligned to that, because I have no freedom there. Whatever I want to do, I cannot do in corporate environment. So I have to align with what corporate guidelines are telling me, what their business ideas. I have to align with that, and I have to come up with the product. But I won't have any freedom of mind. So then what I did, I just left that job. And then after that, also for survival, I would say I took up another job in Singapore, that is in Prochem. And after that I was looking for academic positions. So for short time, like for 6 months or so, I took up a postdoctoral position in Nanyang Technological University, Singapore. And then from there I came to IIT Delhi to join as assistant professor, because that's what I was looking for. Initially I started with a high note, thinking that I would become a scientist and in corporate environment. Then slowly I have realized that I want to grow as an academician, not as a corporate leader, rather I would be happy to be an academician and invent something for the real world. That's why I thought the IIT would be the best platform to do that. If I want to contribute to my own country, why to do it in abroad? Let me come back to my own country and then contribute here. And then I got a lot of company opportunities. I mean, different companies, they definitely a lot of offers, calls I used to get, but I denied. I wanted to work as an academician, and then I joined IIT Delhi. So this is my pretty much journey from my childhood to IIT Delhi, how I grew up, and from where I got my interest in chemistry, and then how I came to IIT Delhi. So this is a pretty much brief lineup. So in between I have done one more job also. I forgot to mention about that. So before I finished my master's MTech in IT Kharagpur, and before I went to United States, there was a few months gap. So I'm a person, I cannot sit idle. So what I thought, I took up a lecturership position in Amrita University. Now it is quite famous. That's called, at that time it was called as Amrita Vishwa Vidyapitham in Coimbatore. Now it is named as Amrita University in Coimbatore. So I was a lecturer in a polymer engineering department. So there also I was a lecturer, so I was a teacher. I thought that I would be definitely connecting with the students much more than as a scientist in a corporate environment, so that's how I thought this academician taking up an opportunity in academic world or as an academician would be better suiting me than in the corporate. So that's how I came here and I started my journey here. So basically, as I said, my parents were very strict. They've always wanted us to study. The moment my parents will leave home, seven by 7:30 in the morning, they will leave home. Then me, my sister, we both will be studying in two different rooms, and that's how my parents always, they will make sure we are in the same two different rooms and we are studying very nicely. We'll pretend that, and then he what as soon as they will leave the room, and they'll leave for the office, and we will think that they all left for the office, and then immediately I will come from my room to my sister's room, and then that domestic help, she will come from the kitchen to that room, and then we three will have a very nice chit chat together, and then we'll be spending time about gossiping about what is happening in our nearby worlds, okay, including cinemas. So we will be discussing about that, and we will not be studying at all. So that was our pretty much regular day to day, that is some sort of uh, I would say, some sort of chit chatting stories, or we call it in Bengali PNPC. We will be doing that and all that. But one day what happens, we thought everybody left, parents left and all, but actually my father was reading a newspaper in the downstairs, okay, and we didn't even realize that father didn't leave yet. So father was there reading a newspaper, and then we were engrossed in our chatting and chit chatting, and then father could hear our voice, and then immediately my father just came to upstairs, and we were like shocked, how come father is still here? And then what happened, what happened, what we have done wrong? Father was furious, so then that day we got a very big dose from my father. And then when my father left, and then we were like, after that day we have realized we should not do such thing which will upset my parents, and that was a really big anger session happened in our house on that day night also, because my father came back with such a big angry face, and there was a really torturing on us, because he felt he was cheated because we were not studying. And then on that day we have realized, no, if we want to chit chat, there should be a time. My father said, you put up a time when this is education time, study time, please do that. When there is no, so maintain a discipline in your life. When there is a study time, please do that. Don't waste your study time and do another chit chatting and all. You do that, this is entertainment, this also you need, but do that during your playtime. Okay, so don't make your whole day is your playtime. So this is the one story I just wanted to share with you, so that you realize how strict environment we grew up, and how we got the lesson what is important to have discipline in life. Yes, definitely. Let me talk about lows, because highs are easy and happy things. Lows are quite difficult, and I had a lot of lows in my life. So actually, I got married in United States, because I chose a boy who was also Bengali boy. But we got married in Kolkata, but we actually I met him in the plane while going to United States. And so after marriage, we did not take a baby because of again my education. So I said, let me finish my PhD, then I will go for babies. So my of course my husband waited, and after finishing the PhD, I was already 30 plus. And then while doing the postdoc, then we started planning for the baby, and then I was pregnant with twin boys. Okay, yes, and that was in that time I was in United States when I got pregnant, but I got a job offer from BSF Singapore. So I resigned from my job in United States, and I took up the job in Singapore. But my husband was still in United States. I was, but at exactly at the juncture when I am coming back to Singapore, I got pregnant. And then that was very tough time for me, because I was pregnant with twin boys, and I came to a foreign country, that is Singapore, alone, because my husband was in United States. I was in Singapore alone. So that time my mother supported me. My mother stayed with me in Singapore during my pregnancy time, because I was alone in that foreign country. And now the my struggle only started then, because I just I landed in a company which is a corporate, full-fledged deadline based, and I was pregnant. So when my boss came to know I am pregnant, he was definitely not happy, because I was on probation, I just joined. And then the boss came to know I'm pregnant. Of course they have a work culture with the women, a lot of women working there. Of course nobody will say anything. Okay, so but definitely my boss was not so happy, and they were pleasantly surprised, I must say in that way. So but then when I gave birth to my children, no, that's where my struggle started. Basically, when I gave birth to my twin boys, one of them got diagnosed with cerebral palsy. So one was normal, another one, both of them were premature baby, so they were like 33 weeks. At 33 weeks I had to give them birth. And then one of them was normal, one diagnosed with cerebral palsy. That was a very big blow to my personal life, you know. I broke down like anything, but again my family came to rescue. My husband, ever supportive husband, and my in-laws also very very supporting. I'm very very fortunate girl. I got such kind of family. And my mother, that time I already lost my father. So my mother was there, my in-laws were there, they were very supportive. They helped me to grow my twin boys. But nevertheless, how much help you have, but still you are mother and you have twin boys, and raising twin kids, that two boys, lot of challenges you have to take. On top of that, one has a I mean birth defect, you know. From the very beginning we are suffering. I mean, we were struggling, I would not say suffering, we are struggling with him, taking him to the physiotherapy session, speech therapy session, occupational therapy session, and special education session. And that is still going on. He is 11 years old, but still that is we are still going on, we are still working with him, says sending him to different therapy sessions, you know. But I must say that we have put so much hard work in raising those two kids. Now my the kid who is you know, that cerebral palsy, diagnosed with cerebral palsy, he is doing very good in his studies. He is at par any other boys in his school, and he's at par to my another twin boys who is normal just like any other boy. And he is doing as good as others. Only thing is that he has a bit difficulty in walking. He can walk, he can run, but his gait level is not like normal gait. It's little different way he walks. That is something we are still working on. But overall he is coming up great. So I'm happy that with all my careers in my mind, with all my passion in research in my mind, I was able to carry out by raising these two kids together. And that was only possible because I have a very supportive family, my husband, my in-laws, and my mother. All of them, even my sister also, whenever I needed help, I always get from them. And all the time I had a domestic help 24/7. I myself grew up with them, and my children are also growing up with domestic help. Unfortunately, I ended up with very good domestic help. They are helping me all the time, so I'm able to manage my professional and personal life both together in this way, you know. And so that is something I wanted to talk about, my lows, which I made it high, you know. I did not let my low to go down me, you know. I took it up as a challenge. I wanted to show the world, even being a mother of twin boys, one is a special child, but still now you won't even realize or recognize that he's a special child. He is just as normal as any other child, you know. I mean, a little difficulty is there, but that could be with any other normal child also. So I'm very proud to say that if, without compromising my research, my credential, nothing I have to compromise, I can very nicely balance both. The only reason is I have a very supportive system, that I'm fortunate I got this support system. That's why I could do. Even starting from 11, 12, as I said, Pradeep said, after that, when I went to my doing my MTech in IIT Kharagpur. No, before that, when I was doing my BTech bachelor in polymer science in Calcutta University, there were like two professors. One was Professor Premomay Ghosh. He's no more. His dad is extremely good polymer scientist. He was a motivation. He was a pillar for us. How much polymer can help the real world. He used to tell us the story, and that's how we motivated to go. take it up as a career and go for PhD. That is the person's name I would like to mention. And then when I went to IIT Kharagpur, there two people name I must mention. One was Professor S.K. Dey. He was a renowned professor and he was retiring at that time when we were doing master degree. And he used to tell us that even though you are girl, you are woman, don't think about your woman, just get the best education, go to America. He used to tell us, go to America, get the best education, go for the abroad. No, no, don't think you are a woman, you cannot go. No, you go for it, doesn't matter. If you need any help to convince your parents, I'm there for you. But my parents are already so supportive. I don't have to do much to convince my parents, because when I said my father I want to go to United States, my mother started crying. No, 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 you, why can't you do the PhD in India itself? My father said no, he she wants to grow. I am no way to stop her. She wants to grow, let her grow. She will make us pride. So let her grow. This is how my father used to inspire. And that Professor S.K. Dev was very, very inspiring. And then another person, Professor Anil Bhomik, he was a pillar of strength for this, for in IIT Kharagpur MTech department. I couldn't find a professor who is so dedicated, motivated, and so much hardworking professor in IIT. He was so hardworking professor in my eyes. And then when I see him, at his age, he was doing so much hard work. I used to get inspired. Why can't I go to abroad and get the education, come back to IIT or some this kind of institute, and then do this much hard work what these professors are doing for us? I will also give back to the society the similar way what he is doing. So these are the people very highly inspired us and motivated us to go. And this is how. But now I want to tell you about some negatives also in our locality, in our relatives, among our relatives. They used to say, whenever I stood first in my class or some rank holder I will be, then my relatives will say, no matter what you do, even if you become first, second, third, how does it matter? End of the day, you are only woman, you will cook in the kitchen. That's your identity, that's how you'll be ending up. I used to hear that from many of my relatives, not once, multiple times, many of my relatives. These are the words that is actually decelerating the women's education. That's what I feel. So these kinds of discouragement means, of course, fortunately I got a good parents, but not everybody. And those relatives who are saying to me, their children, I mean, their boys are growing very well, but their girls are not able to do anything because of the similar mindset. So that mindset needs to be changed. Even I now, after coming to ID Delhi, I took up this as a job as a assistant professor. When I started taking more and more girl PhD student, women PhD student, because I feel like if I can pull up few women PhD student and bring them to the limelight, they will pull up more women together, just like you are bringing us up over here. So if like 10 women are seeing us, they get inspired, they will inspire another 100, they will inspire another 1,000. This is how we can spread this news. And that's why when I took up, if you look at my website, you will see that majority of my PhD students are girl students. And I always want them to be motivated to finish their degree and go for postdoc in United States, or some abroad, Germany, United States, or South Korea, wherever. My students, they are getting postdocs and they are going in this country only, and majority of them are girls. And this is my pride. This is my pride, because I am taking women students, giving them the education, and sending them to abroad. Even though they faced also odds in their families. They are from very, very poor family. I have a one girl student. She came from a family where no girls have passed class 10. She told us, ma'am, nobody in my whole relatives, among my family, nobody passed class 10. From this family, these girls are coming and doing PhD with me and going abroad. Now she is in United States doing her postdoc, and she took care of her husband. She is the person who is supporting her own husband. You see, so how motivating and inspiring this news for me, that I met a student who got a degree with me and got so much inspired that she went, not only went to United States to do postdoc, she took her husband also as a support, so these are the things which really I feel I have achieved a lot in this profession only, which I won't be able to gain in any other profession if I would have taken it up. Yes, yes, definitely. So that Professor Ghosh, I was talking about Premomoy Ghosh. So he used to tell us the stories of biodegradable polymers, which I am currently working on. He used to tell us that plastics are everywhere. Now there is a plastic pollution going on everywhere. Now, if you have to tackle this plastic pollution, how will you handle? There is one answer: if the plastic can be degradable. If the plastic can be degradable, so this like this moti, this garland, if you can see that this garland, if I throw into the dump yard, it doesn't degrade. If it is made of some plastic balls, it doesn't degrade. But if it made of some natural polymers or some biodegradable polymers, if you dump them, they will degrade. So that's where the first time I heard there is a polymer or plastics which can also degrade on its own without doing much on it, and you will not create any plastic pollution anywhere. Because when I was studying my BTech in polymers, there itself I used to hear this plastic pollution everywhere. Not now. 20 years before I used to hear this. Okay, so now the situation is, when this plastic pollution story I used to hear 20 years before, now I am trying to solve this problem. So that is some story I wanted to tell you, because that's where I got the seed in my mind or thought in my mind. And now when I'm trying to solve the problem, I can easily correlate that story with my career today. It's colors. Yeah, colors nothing to do with their greenness. It's just we put a logo and we advertise them. But colors has nothing to do with that. Rather, colored polymers are not so easy to degrade. So, but yeah, there are polymers which are biodegradable, and I am working on that, not only to solve this plastic pollution, but also to provide the benefit of these biodegradable polymers as a Parkinson's disease drug. That Parkinson's disease drug, what I am trying to develop right now, which we have gone quite a good results, or quite promising results so far we have achieved. you know that can really give a patients a much better life and much longer lifespan. So that Parkinson drugs, that can be encapsulated in a ball. That ball will be made up of this biodegradable polymers. You call it green colored polymers. They are not green colored, but you can call them green polymers or biodegradable polymers. This polymers, it's like a ball. Just think about one ball. In this ball, I just encapsulated my, or entrapped. You think about one spherical ball, and I have entrapped the Parkinson drugs there. And when you take orally the drug, that ball you take, and slowly this ball will degrade because it is biodegradable. So slowly inside your body, we are also biological body, so in our body it will start degrading, disintegrating, and get the drugs out slowly from this ball. And as it is slowly releasing, so it is not going to affect the Parkinson's patient's lifestyle. That is the main challenge for Parkinson's patients are suffering from the side effect of the excessive drugs, so that side effect of the excessive drugs can be solved if you can control the release of the drug. So how will you control the release? You put them inside a ball, which ball itself is a biodegradable ball. So they will degrade on its own, and they will release the drug on its own slowly. And once it will come out slowly, you don't have excess drugs in your body, so you don't get side effects, so you don't become sick like any Parkinson patients suffering currently. So that is our goal. So we can have a like a 10 years lifespan can be increased, 10 to 20 years lifespan can be increased. That is our effort. Now we are still working on it. Yes. Yes. uh, Success means to me, my definition, something which I desire without compromising my happiness. That's my success, which I desire to achieve without compromising my happiness. So, my happiness definitely comes in the priority. If I achieve something but at the cost of my family members or my friends or my very close colleagues or my any mental happiness, if I have to lose my mental peace or happiness, that even if I desire to get that, even if I have achieved that, I would not consider as a success. Success is something which I desire to achieve without compromising the happiness. That's the definition of my success. And failure, if you ask me the what is the definition of failure, just opposite of that. Failure would be something which I desire to achieve, but I didn't learn anything. So sometimes we did fail, but we learned many things from the failures. There, I would not consider it is a failure. I've learned many things from that failed attempt, and that is helping me to achieve many more steps in future when I would like to achieve some successful goal. So I would not consider this is as a failure. I would consider a failure means failure where I learned nothing. Yes, yes. The lessons learned is the first lesson what I have learned from my own journey, that first fix your goal and work on it. Okay, because I did some mistakes, like I went to a corporate world, then I tested there, then I took a turn, I found out that corporate is not uh, my cup of tea, so I came back to academics. That is something I would say I wouldn't have done that. So that is a lesson for me, and I would like to tell, I mean, this is a lesson learned from my experience, that please fix your goal. Of course, I also did fix my goal, but then it didn't work out, so I had to come back. But this is my lesson: fix your goal, and before you jump on any conclusion or any direction, make a calculative risk. Okay, don't jump on any opportunity, whatever it comes to you. There will be many, if you're good, there will be many opportunities coming to you. But before you jump on any opportunities, please do a very good research on that particular position. Okay, whether that will give you your desirable goals or in your life, that first you do that judgment. Take a calculation, take a pause, do a full thorough analysis, research on that, then take a step, then do a jump. Not before that. Sometimes we cannot really control, everything is not in our hand. But so far, this is my lesson: whatever, you fix your goal fast, do enough calculation and research, then you jump. That's my lessons. And you want me to spread a news to the girls, so I would say to the girls one thing, do not think that you are a girl so you are less of anybody. you know I do not consider myself less of anybody. Even when I'm going to any faculty boards, any meeting, I always raise my voice, put my opinions, and I always consider myself as equal as any other my male colleagues. Sometimes I feel I am even better than them. Okay, so that's why I see, I want to spread this news. Do not consider this is what happened. This is the mistakes, all women they suffer from. They always think they are lower, they are less than their counterparts. They are less than their husbands or their boyfriend or whatever. Do not think you are less of anybody. Whatever you are doing, you are be good at it, and you are no less than anybody. That is the news I would like to spread. And another thing also, do not compromise on your career. Please don't. I have seen many women, very good student in my school life. I had a lot of friends who used to be topper, who used to be topper all the time, class 10, class 12. After that they became housewife. I do not understand why. Because the simple reason is that they did not pursue their goal. They did not have faith in themselves. So have faith in you, and do not compromise on your career at any cost. That's my news for the women. Many times, many times, not once, many times. If I recently I got an award from government of India. That's a quite prestigious award. That's called ACRB Power Fellowship. ACRB Power Fellowship, it is for promoting opportunity for women in engineering and research. That's a power means. Okay, so this is an award for dedicated for the women researcher who are outstanding in their domain. Okay, I got this award this year only. I got this award, and many of my male colleagues, they hesitate to congratulate me, thinking that this is an women award. Of course, there are not many women who are doing good. So you are just among those. Let's say out of 10, if one is doing little better, so of course you are getting recognition. So there are not enough women who are good competitors, so it's easy game for you, so you can easily achieve this kind of award, and it's not a big deal you know and this is a clear cut discrimination I could hear from my male colleagues, and he used to say that. I mean, I'm sure not only me, many of my female colleagues who have received this award, they might have heard the same. Because of course we are not the competitors. You have such a less competition in the market, so you are getting this recognition. But they are never thinking the women who are getting this recognition, how hardship their life is or was, and how much difficulty they have faced in their life. With that they could achieve where they are right now, with so much of obstacles, so much of hardship they have achieved to some level. That's why government is recognizing them. This no Not very few men, of course, they will recognize you, but not many men, they will give you value, or they'll reward you for that. Yes, it is called ACRB, Science Engineering Research Board. It's a research organization from Government of India. ACRB Power 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 Fellowship. It's called ACRB Power Fellowship. Yeah, so for women, okay, so in IIT we do have a few cells. One is IGES. Okay, so that IGES, they mostly deal with the gender. It's a full name I forgot. It's a gender equal opportunity kinds of that is society, IGES. So I was a member for that particular society where I raised the voice and to I mean there was one uh, uh, issue was going on that there are so many women PhD in chemistry. They enrolled PhD in chemistry, but there is hardly any women who are becoming faculty here. Not only ID Delhi, everywhere. You will find very less women as a faculty, but there are very very high percentage of women. They are PhD students. So that where these women are going, so they are getting the degree from us, and then where they are growing. So why they are not becoming faculty? Not only here, anywhere. Why not? So why they are becoming housewife after some time? You know. So there was a discussion. I was quite strongly participated in that, and what I have realized, that's a called a Gati project, GATI. That was also for women empowerment, and then in that Gati project what they were saying, okay, the women, there was a survey, they found that the why women are not taking up after PhD. There are many portion of women, they just take this PhD degree to get a better husband, because they want to marry a very well paid husband. And for a husband, well paid husband, they want to show a wife having a PhD degree so that they can run their family very smoothly, they can grow their kids very easily. So that's why they want an educated wife, and for this purpose these girls are coming to take the PhD degree, and that is why these girls are ending up with only degree but not ending up with a job. Okay, so we raised a voice, and then after this Gati project, and I do not know exact the percentage. Of course, now because of many initiatives including this Gati in IGS, many women after finishing PhD degree, they are coming up, taking up jobs in here. Okay, and there is one more incident also I would like to share, because for any government research project, when we write, we have to do one that's called some sort of CSR activity, like corporate social responsibility activities. In there, government allocates some budget for that, and we have to take that budget and use it. What I usually do, I go to some girls college or some girls school also, and give a lecture, give a very basic lecture, so that they get motivated by seeing me, and they get motivated by seeing my lecture, by listening my lecture, even though they don't understand much, fine, but they get motivated, they get inspiration, which I did not get when I was a school student. No professors will come to our school and give a lecture, so that I am trying to give a lecture, so that some girls student, they, if one out of 100 girls also coming out and taking it STEM as a career, I would be very happy. Now I am going to Kolkata every year. I go to Kolkata, so this time I'm going to Kolkata. I have already planned my talk in my school, so that I get some sort of, that my school is a girls school, it was 100% girls school, so there I would like to give a talk, so that I can motivate some, like, maybe 4 or 5 girl students. That would be big bonus for me. Yeah, so I would say, so the mistake what I have done in my life, as I said, my goal was not fixed before. If I would have planned at the age of 13 or 14, much before, if I would have planned well, then I would have been in a position where I am now, much higher position than where I am now. Higher means the much more accomplishment I would have got, because I would have started my journey at the right time. Now I have definitely I have lost few years of my life because I've changed my careers. So that career path I wouldn't have changed if I would have calculated few years before. So that 13, 14 years Shampa, I would have said don't waste your time in chit chatting with your domestic help and your sister so much, and then yeah, give time for your study and focus more. So I would have said the same. I am a good Kathak dancer. So I have already performed in IIT, I think two times. Last time also they were requesting me. Now I'm too old. I cannot do in front of public, So, but I do dance at home. So I practice that, and I walk. I definitely listen to musics and listen to a lot of news. I love to listen news, and then love to listen stories, news articles, and musics, songs. Of course, Bengali songs, Hindi songs also. So that's how I spend my me time. Well, if I really want to do, if you ask me, what is my desire, what is my dream, to see a patient suffering from Parkinson's getting recovered by taking my medicine. That will be a really some dream which I want to achieve. Not giving any lecture to any dais, not showing to the world any dance performance or my lecture performance, but by helping the world with the medicine what I'm trying to develop for really helping that Parkinson's diseased patients. My own aunt died in that particular from that particular disease. I know how suffering she has gone through, how much suffering she has gone through. So if I can really help, I would like to help in this manner, and that would be my price. That would be my price for my entire life, and that's my dream if I can achieve. When I wake up every day, I see my father's picture that is there in my bedroom, and I just remember his words, take the highest degree and contribute to the society. This is what my father used to say. When I get up, I see his picture, I just remember his words, and I start. So, this is one more day I got to live. I should do something for the society. Let me do what I can. Sometimes I can, sometimes I cannot. But this is how I start my day. At least I think only one word which will describe me, that is hardworking, cheerful lady. I like to enjoy the life. I don't want to study all the time. I'm a very cheerful. Whoever my friends, they know about me. And my friends, my family, my colleagues who are close to me, they all know that this is my character. I laugh a lot. I laugh at times. I crack jokes. So that's me, that's me. That's my character. So a very cheerful, jolly lady I am. And at the same time, I'm quite hardworking. So that's me, hardworking and cheerful.